Coco Gauff gave herself, her mama, and her fans the scare of a lifetime with her U.S. Open first round win. I'll give my thoughts, of course, on that Tomljanovic thriller and what this means for Gauff's title prospects, look ahead at some exciting day 4 matchups, and highlight some exciting Venus Williams news. What's good? My name's Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Cult, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you haven't yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post my Day 4 recap video. My pastor called me today and he's told me that he was going to be in New York to watch Coco's match live in Arthur Ashe Stadium. And I said, you're probably going to be in for a little bit of a battle because I knew this one was going to be a tough one. And he said, I hope not, because I just want an easy, straightforward win for Coco. Well, Pastor Johnson, I warned you. This was one of the most entertaining matches I've seen thus far during this North American hard court swing. We've had quite a few. There were so many momentum shifts. Ajla, she got the first break of the match and went up 3-1, and then Coco clawed her way back and she won 5 of the last 6 games of the opening set. It looked like it was going to be a pretty comfortable 6-4, 6-3 type of win for the American, especially when she was serving up 4-1 in the second set. But Tomljanovic, got to give credit to her. She fought back so hard, and she won 3 games in a row to serve for the second set. And when she was serving for it at 5-4, she had 2 set points, but Coco fought back and put herself within 2 points of the win, holding a love 30 edge at 5-6. But then Ajla, again, she turned it around and won 7 points in a row and ran away with the second set tiebreaker. The match was, again, so nip and tuck, and much of it came down to who won the baseline rallies because they were going at it, exchanging blow for blow. So many times they had like 20, 30 shot rallies. It was incredible. And they just weren't letting up. It's not like they were pity-patting the ball either. They were hitting that ball, cracking it with a decent amount of pace. But I do think that Coco's serve, for sure, I'll say it was the X factor a little bit, but it was definitely a big topic of discussion that I have to talk about here. We know that she has been tinkering with that serve ever since she hired her new biomechanical coach, Gavin McMillan. And I did notice some slight improvements. I noticed that she turned her body sideways a little bit more. And I think that that's all started from her toss, as she seems to have adjusted her toss a little bit more to the right. And I think that should help Coco with her accuracy, especially for those slice serves. And also I noticed that when she's landing, her body is a little bit more upright instead of kind of leaned. And I did notice in her practice sessions that she was really trying to emphasize holding that kick out a little bit longer, or having an exaggerated kick out on her serve. So I think those were the main things. But Coco, she started the match off serving more safely, and I think that for sure paid off. In the first set, she served 70% of her first serves in, and she won 79% of points whenever she landed the first serve, which is excellent for Coco standards. But as ESPN noted, Tomljanovic improved her return depth and made life harder for Coco when comparing it from the first set to the second and third sets. And that forced Coco to go for more on that serve in those last two sets. This adjustment did pay off well at times, especially in the third set. And Coco, she faced a couple of break points when she was serving at 2-1. But here she hit 4 really strong quality first serves in a row to help herself get out of trouble. And honestly speaking, this could have been a 6-1 third set win for Coco, as she also had break points at the 3-1 and 4-2 games. But there are times where the return let her down. I think she was rushing a little bit too much, and the acceleration part of her stroke was just a little bit off, trying to press the issue a little bit too much. But instead of that 6-1 third set win, life was made extremely hard for Coco. Really, she did it to herself a little bit. When she served for the match at 5-4, she's fumbled and hit a couple of double faults. That double fault bug definitely returned. And she mentioned in her press conference that she tends to go back to her old habits in the tighter moments, and that was an example of that. And that makes sense. And also it makes sense too because Coco already isn't the strongest closer. Gauff, she did clean it up a little bit in those last 2 games, and she was able to kind of crawl across the finish line. Again, I think the match was really high quality. I know some people thought it was poor quality. Yes, some parts in the third set weren't great towards like the middle, where Coco kind of let Ajla off the hook at some parts. But overall, I was really entertained with the match, especially the second set. The second set and the early part of the third set, it was like some excellent tennis. The rallies had me on the edge of my seat. Yes, the stats don't look that great. Ajla finished with 12 winners and allegedly 56 unforced errors. Coco 29 winners to allegedly 59 unforced errors. And I say allegedly because it's a little bit misleading, because so many of their rallies were long. So, of course, when you have a long rally and with the way that these two are hitting the ball, it's difficult for them to end points off of winners, again, with how well they're hitting and with the depth of shot they were using. And also, I think that the unforced errors they counted were really forced errors, or at least some of them. So I think the stats person was a little bit harsh with it, but don't let the stats fool you. This was a great match. And honestly, I was getting flashbacks to Serena's Evolution match in 2022. Of course, Tomljanovic retired the GOAT, Serena, in the third round here at the US Open. And Tomljanovic, like she played back then, she played unbelievably well. Like the rent was due almost. I know a lot of it depends on her health, but if she plays like this, she can easily be, not easily, but at least top 20, top 25 for sure. People said, again, that Coco needs to elevate her level, but I think that Ajla was possibly like the toughest first round opponent that she could have had out of the unseeded players. Tomljanovic played top 10 level tennis and would have beaten, I think, most seeded players for sure. Still, though, the draw would not get any easier for Gauff. She next plays Donna Vekic, who beat Coco in the Paris Olympics last year, although Coco did win their United Cup round robin match earlier at the top of this season. Not sure exactly what to expect from Vekic. She did score a tough three-set win over Jessica Buzas-Minero, who have been playing well in the North American hardcourt swing, so definitely Coco needs to be on her P's and Q's for this match. Gauff does tend to do better after her first rounds. Typically, her first round matches show some of her shakiest form because she is so nervous, which is understandable. So I think that if this is the worst that we'll see from Coco, this is a very good omen for her title prospects. Also, the last time that Coco won a Struggle Fest opening round match in the night session and Arthur Ashe at the US Open, she went on to win the title. Plus, this kid is very similar to that title-winning 2023 look. If I'd have to rate Coco's performance, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. If I'd have to rate Coco's performance, I would give it a 7.7 out of 10. Coco, by the way, finished with 10 total double faults, which isn't great, but not horrible considering how this was almost a 3-hour match. Naomi Osaka, who could meet Gauff in the fourth round, started at the same time as the American, but Naomi had a much easier opening round performance. The Japanese woman defeated Greet Meenan 6-3, 6-4. This was a solid 8 out of 10 performance from Osaka. Greet is a bit crafty, but I think the match overall was still on Osaka's racket. There was a shaky moment in the second set where Naomi lost her focus and started spraying like we saw at the Montreal final against Mboko, and she did go down a break at 3-4. But kudos to her for controlling it, because after she went down that break, I don't think she made another unforced error. I give this Osaka performance a solid 7.9 out of 10. I'm still not 100% sold on the rose fit. I'll save my thoughts for the fashion review, but it is growing on me day by day or hour by hour. Osaka's second round match will be pretty interesting as she goes up against Hailey Baptiste, who defeated Katerina Siniakova 7-5, 6-3 for her maiden US Open win. Hailey had struggled a bit with her form since Wimbledon. She won just 2 matches and 4 events, so it is good to see her back and doing well. And these two, Osaka and Baptiste, have had a few tough battles this year. First in Auckland, which Osaka won 6-7, 6-1, 6-2. And then the Miami Open, I think third round, that was a movie. Osaka won that 7-6, 3-6, 6-4. I think that Hailey honestly had great opportunities at winning that Miami Open match, and she lacked experience and moxie. So I think knowing that she has come close to beating Naomi will help her a lot for this match. I do still side with Osaka to take this win. I think it won't be as drama-filled as it was, as her other previous matches with Baptiste were. I'd say I predict a 7-5, 6-3 win for Osaka. Honestly, though, aside from Coco's win, day 3, as far as the entertainment level and excitement, was kind of mid, at least among the top players. ESPN spent nearly as much time talking about the Taylor Swift engagement news as they did analyzing the actual action. Speaking of Taylor, by the way, one of her biggest fans, Iga Swiatek, made swift work of her opening round opponent, Emiliana Arango, 6-1, 6-2. It was a little bit shaky in the opening few games for Swiatek, but Iga was just too much for the Colombian, and she finished with 26 winners to 14 unforced errors. Jannik Sinner followed up right behind Iga, and he laid down the hammer against Vic Caprivo, winning 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 in 98 minutes. Sinner will surely be tested more in the second round match where he faces against Alexei Popyrin, who will be a tough customer. Popyrin, he won the Canadian Open last year. Both Iga and Jannik's matches finished so quick that they had to put on another match on Ashe, between Linda Noskova and Dama Galfi, which Noskova won by a score of 6-4, 7-5. We did witness the longest match of the tournament thus far, though, where Daniel Altmaier outlasted Hamad Medjedovic 7-5, 6-7, 7-6, 6-7, 6-4 in 4 hours and 46 minutes. Altmaier next gets Stefano Tsitsipas, who got a pretty solid 4-6, 6-love, 6-1, 7-6 win versus Alexander Mueller. If Steph wins his second round match, he will likely get Alex de Minaur in round 3, and if Tsitsipas were to win that over de Minaur, he would make the second week in New York for the first time ever in his career. Another notable result was Francisco Cerúndelo's exceptional comeback win against Matteo Arnaldi. The Argentine was down 2-0 and was down 1-3 a break down in the third set, but he recovered to win 3-6, 2-6, 7-5, 6-4, 6-3. But yeah, the results were pretty straightforward overall. Zverev and Paul earned straight sets wins, as did Canadians Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime. Even the matches I thought would be thrillers weren't really all that, as Lorenzo Musetti scored a very good 6-7, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 victory over Giovanni Ampeci Petitcard. Alexander Bublik dominated the 2014 champion Marin Cilic 6-4, 6-1, 6-4. No men's seeds lost on day 3, while we had 2 women's casualties, and that came in 20th seed Diana Schneider falling to Laura Siegemund 7-6, 2-6, 6-3, and then 26th seed Sophia Kenin lost to compatriot Ashton Kruger 5-7, 6-4, 6-2. Really, neither of those losses were too surprising. And yes, Schneider, while she did just win Monterrey, she continued the Monterrey curse, as now the last 3 winners of that tournament have lost round 1 at the US Open. Now, these weren't upsets per se, but Danielle Collins was dominated by Jacqueline Christian 2 in love, which was very surprising. I thought that she could maybe make a little bit of a run here. Collins' exit opens up Anisimova's path to the quarterfinals more, as Danielle was a potential third-round opponent for the Wimbledon finalists. 2-time singles champion Venus Williams might have lost her round 1 match last night against Karolina Muchova, but her US Open is not over. V received a doubles wild card to play alongside 2021 finalist Leylah Fernandez, which was a big surprise to me. Not that Venus was playing doubles, but that she was playing with Fernandez. It just seemed very random. Venus, she's a 14-time double slam champion alongside her sister Serena, and Fernandez, she has had a decent doubles career herself, making the 2023 Roland Garros finals alongside Taylor Townsend, so she has some experience, and I hope they make a good run, although they do not have a great draw, to be honest. They play 6 seeds Ludmila Kichenok and Ellen Perez, and Kichenok won the title, the women's doubles title, last year alongside Yelena Ostapenko. Looking ahead to day 4's order of play, Djokovic and Pegula open play on Ash, whereas Alcaraz and Sabalenka start the night session. I do think Sabalenka Kudermetova could be interesting, maybe, and then also Raducanu Jen, they open up Armstrong. I think that will be intriguing as well. 7th seed Jasmine Paolini and 17-year-old Iva Jovic will be on Louis Armstrong, and the 17-year-old, she pushed Paolini to 3 sets at Indian Wells, and I do think that the 17-year-old, again, she does have the talent and skill to beat Paolini, especially because Paolini, she didn't look all that great in her opening round match, but she could definitely clean it up here for this one, knowing that Jovic poses a significant threat. Then another teenager, Joao Fonseca, will play 21st seed Thomas Mahach. I called Fonseca getting the win in this one in my last video, but I do think this one will be really good. I can see it going either way. Then McCartney Kessler, the American, faces off against Marketa Vondrousova. Marketa won their Wimbledon match 6-1, 7-6 when they played in the opening round, and I think this one is going to be another tight one, but I think that I see Kessler getting her revenge here. Then you have Yelena Ostapenko and Taylor Townsend, the battle of the double slam champions. They are tied at 1 apiece in their head-to-head, and they played here in the second round at the US Open in 2018, which Ostapenko won in 3 sets, although Townsend dominated Ostapenko in their last meeting 6-2, 6-1 in Toronto last year. And I picked Townsend to come through and make the second week in my preview video, so I'm going to be sticking with Taylor to get this win again. And then last but certainly not least is the battle of Americans between Emma Navarro and Katie McNally. They will be on Grandstand. I called an upset alert for this one in my last video too. I think this will be a very entertaining match. Both are very crafty players, and I see this one again going McNally's way. I think maybe in 3 sets. Navarro wasn't that impressive in her opening round match, but I think maybe a lot of it was due to nerves, because there's a lot riding on this tournament as she is defending semifinal points from last year, so she could definitely step her cookies up in this one, but I'm going to be sticking with McNally to get the W. That's all I have for my US Open Day 3 recap video, and give me your thoughts on Coco's Thriller match, and if you think that it was a good omen for her going on a deep run, or do you think that trouble lies ahead soon for the 3rd seed. Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I do post that Day 4 recap video. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.